friends, I'm Sarah. Welcome back to my channel, Sunset Bow Tarot. It's been a while since I have done one of these, but my purgatory box is getting really full and it's time for a deck declutter. So as usual, all of the decks that I'm going to be going through here today are up for sale down in the description box down below. You will be able to find a list of all of the decks along with their prices that I will be selling them for. All the prices include tracked shipping within the continental US. Anything other than that, we would have to discuss probably an additional shipping fee, but within the continental US, the shipping is included in the price you see below down in the description box. So let's go ahead and start going through these because I got quite a few. So I'm just going to start with a few decks that I have actually had up for sale since my last declutter, which at this point was a very long time ago. But this first one here, oops, I have it upside down. This is the first edition of the Dream Vision Tarot by Emma Zhang. And the only reason I'm selling this is because I have the second edition, which I actually prefer because it doesn't have gilded edges. It has matte edges, and I just prefer that. There are also a few other changes between this edition and the second edition. Basically, the titles are integrated into the artwork in a slightly different way, but aside from that, the artwork is very close to the same. And this is a stunning deck. I absolutely love this deck. It is so gorgeous. Again, the only reason I am selling this edition is because I prefer the second edition personally, but there's nothing wrong with this one. It's just gorgeous. So anyway, that is the first edition of the Dream Vision Tarot by Emma Zhang, and yeah, fabulous deck. And again, I also always put all decks back in order before I put them up for sale. So I have gone through all of these, made sure all of the cards are present and accounted for, there's no damage, and everything is good to go and happy. So yeah. The second thing that I have up for sale and have had up for sale for a while, and this isn't strictly speaking a deck, but this is the set of Spirit Keepers Tarot tiles by Jamie Sawyer. These are tiles of the Vitruvian edition, which is stunning. It's very, very beautiful. Yeah, this is the only way that the Vitruvian edition of the Spirit Keepers is still available. And you can see that all the tiles are just lovely. They're this just beautiful clear resin. One of the cool things about these particular tiles is that I believe these tiles are still available, but what isn't still available is this matching magnifier that Jamie made to go with these. Because obviously with the Spirit Keepers, you know, a magnifier is nice to see all of that detailed artwork on these little tiny tiles. And so there is this matching magnifier that comes with it, along with a matching bag to keep your tiles in. And this goes really, really well with the tiles. And I also have the medium white book for the Vitruvian edition. So all of this is together as a package: the book, the bag, the magnifier, the tiles, the box, and it's a lovely package. So if you've been looking for the Vitruvian edition, or if you like this concept of having tiles, personally, I really like tiles and charms and things like that for tarot because it gives them more of like a talismanic feel, I guess, and it gives you some additional ways to potentially like use the cards in terms of you know, as more like as a talisman for other kinds of you know, spell work or intention work or whatever. So anyway, very, very lovely set, and those again are for sale. So next up, and this just kills me to get rid of this, but honestly I know I need to, because I am probably never ever going to use this deck despite the fact that I love the artwork of it so much. This is the Mysteries of Mary Tarot, which is a very, very lovely deck. It comes with a book. So this is by I can't pronounce, Hetien Grobler, who is actually located in South Africa, and so ordering this deck is actually pretty expensive because it has to get shipped from South Africa. I believe it's still available if you want to order it from South Africa, but if you want to get it a little cheaper and shipped locally and quicker, this is a good way to get it. And you can see that I've got all of the inclusions here. I've got the lovely little seal that she sends, this like certificate of authenticity, some just pretty cards, the whole book. She sends a lot of other like little goodies along with it. Like there's a rosary that comes with it. There's a little Mary statue that comes with it, and some of these little, there's a whole bunch of these actually, there's like 4 or 5 of these little kind of molded things that she made, little kind of clay, air dry clay kind of little items that she made to go with it. And then the deck itself, and like I said, I bought this deck just because of the artwork. I don't have a personal connection to Mary. I wasn't raised Catholic or Christian or anything like that, but I love the artwork of this deck. It's so beautiful. For every card, she made these little icon vignettes with different little figurines and you know, items around it. And like, this is, you know, this kind of artwork is just something I really, really love. So I've loved looking at this deck, but I've literally never used it, like never. So it's still in order from when I first got it, still in order, but it's absolutely lovely. So if this is a deck that you've had your eye on, I know this is a very popular one, and like, again, because it is shipped from South Africa and it's pretty expensive, it can be hard to get your hands on it, but just an absolutely gorgeous deck, amazing artwork, and yeah, it does pain me a little bit to let it go, but this deck really needs to go to somebody who's going to use it, and not somebody like me who's just gonna like get it out once in a blue moon and just like flip through it and admire the artwork. So so anyway, that is the Mysteries of Mary Tarot, and again, it comes with the deck, and the deck comes with a custom bag. And then I have a little satin bag here with all of the various little air dry clay items that she sent along with it, as well as the little Mary statue and a rosary, and all of that goes along as well with the book. So it's the whole set. So anyway, if anybody's interested in this, and I hope somebody is, because it's absolutely a lovely package, this one is also for sale. So another deck that I have available for sale, and there is no particular order to these. There are some tarot, there are some oracle, there are some indie, there are some mass market. Like, I just didn't bother to put these in any kind of order as I go through them. But another one that I have available is the Happy Tarot. And you can see that I actually have it in a custom, like a Los Scarabeo custom bag that they sell to go along with this deck. And this is the more recent edition of this deck that is borderless. And of course it does come with the little white book as well, which got a little crunched, but it's perfectly fine otherwise. But this is such a sweet deck, and I absolutely love it. But what I've discovered is that there are decks that I reach for ahead of this one when I want this kind of like childlike fun energy in a deck. This just hasn't been the one that I've been reaching for, despite the fact that I think it's stinking adorable. And it has all these cute, you know, little characters. And again, this is the borderless edition. So it is quite nice looking. I really like the backs. The thing that really got me with this deck, and I need to go into the wands to find it. But you know, all of the like suit symbols are usually like little candy items, and what really got me is some of the the Pocky wands. Like, I could not resist the Pocky wands. Like, it was so cute, but you can see like it's so adorable. Anyway, this deck is just so charming, it's so cute, but again, it's not the one that I personally reach for as far as a sort of like child energy, inner child kind of energy deck. So I am ready to let this go, but it's lovely, it's in great condition, and again, it does come with this little matching bag, which is quite cute as well. It has the little fool on it, so super cute. So another deck that I have kind of a cute little matching bag to go with is the mini Everyday Witch Tarot, and I think that this little bag is kind of perfect for it. So I will be including the bag when I sell this, but it also still have the box and everything like that. And this is just like a really sweet deck. I really like the Everyday Witch, but my thing is, this deck is a little too small for me. Like, it's just a little too small for my eyes. I find it hard to see, and I'm not like, you know, so familiar with Everyday Witch. Like, I have it, I like it, I do read with it, but I'm not so familiar with it that I can really function with the artwork being this small. But you know, it's super cute, it's adorable, little mini version of the Everyday Witch with what I think is a perfect little witchy mini bag to go with it. So anyway, that one is another one that I have up for sale. So the next one on the chopping block is The Guidance of the Goddess Oracle. This is by Annette Pierso and Israel Gonzalez. I believe that this still exists, but it's called something different now. And now I can't remember what it's called, but this is a very lovely deck. This is another one that actually does come with a custom bag, which has always just been in the box. I've never used it, but it's so pretty. It's a nice black velvet custom bag to go with the deck. And then there is, of course, a little guidebook to go with it. And this deck, I got this because I loved the artwork so much, but like, I kind of don't really work with goddesses this way. I found myself getting goddess-based decks and then inevitably letting go of them because this isn't really how my practice is. Like I just don't really work with goddesses in this way. But this is a very lovely one. Like you can see that the artwork is so beautiful, and then each of the cards has the goddess name and then a keyword. So you know, it's a very nice readable oracle, in my opinion, as far as a goddess oracle. It's beautiful. Like the backs have all of this. Sorry, my hands are steamy, but it has all this beautiful gilding on the backs. It has a lovely matte gilded edge on it. Like it's just a really stunning deck. Just really gorgeous. One of the prettiest goddess decks I think I've seen as far as the artwork. But again, it's just sort of not something that fits in my practice. I got attracted by the look of it and then sort of never really nailed down a good way to use it. So I am going to be letting that one go. And again, this is The Guidance of the Goddess Oracle. It does come in a nice box, custom bag, and yeah, another very lovely package that I've got up for sale. So the next deck that has been in my purgatory box is the Oracle of Echoes by Anna Turian. This is the second edition of the Oracle of Echoes, and this has been my second try with the Oracle of Echoes. I actually owned the first edition as well, and let it go. And then, you know, when she came out with the second edition, I thought it was really pretty. Something about it attracted me again. I really liked the new backs. I liked the new card layout with the new font and everything. And so I thought, oh, I'll give it another try. And then earlier this year, I've been kind of trying to give any oracles I found I haven't been reaching for sort of a fair shot of like a solid month of working with them, just to see if I really do need to keep them in my collection. And it's been a lot of oracles that are kind of like very popular in the community and tend to be workhorses for a lot of people. And so I've always felt like I should have them, but then I never end up reaching for them when I do have them. And this is one of those decks. And it's lovely. It's a lovely oracle, but I did give it that full month of working with it, and it just kind of didn't get me excited. So I decided to go ahead and pass it along again. It's a wonderful deck. It's got great keywords. It's got beautiful artwork. You know, there's nothing wrong with it whatsoever in any way. I love this card. This is one of my favorites. And it's a beautiful deck, but oh, yeah, there's the title card. But for whatever reason, it just hasn't hit for me in the right way. So anyway, yeah, letting this one go. And I, can definitely declare that I have fully worked enough with the Oracle of Echoes to say for sure, this is a wonderful deck. It's just not for me for whatever reason, and I can let it go from my collection for good. So very similarly, basically in the same category is the Illuminated Earth Oracle. This is another deck that I know is very beloved in the community for very good reason. It's an absolutely beautiful deck. The artwork is wonderful. It has a really great assortment of keywords. Again, a very nice balanced deck in terms of its keywords. And it's lovely. And I love a lot of the artwork. There are a lot of cards in this deck where every time I look at them, they're so beautiful. But this was another one where I gave it the full month-long try of working with it exclusively as an oracle for a month, and just decided ultimately that I kind of wasn't getting, what I really want out of an oracle. Like it just sort of wasn't, hitting for me in the way that I want an oracle to. And so despite the fact that it's absolutely lovely, I feel like I gave it a fair shot, and it's just kind of not for me. So again, that is the Illuminated Earth Oracle, an absolutely gorgeous deck by Claire Mack. Again, I gave it its shot, and it's one that I know now does not need to stay in my collection. So let's talk about the life design cards. I loved these for a long time. This I would have, if you asked me a couple of years back, I would have told you this is probably one of my like maybe top 5 or top 10 favorite oracles. It's a really lovely oracle. This is by Lisa McLaughlin, who is the same artist who created the Texture Tarot, which, as you guys probably know if you've watched my channel at all, the Texture Tarot is like one of my all-time favorite tarot decks that I use a lot. And this is a really nice oracle. It's based on principles of permaculture and sustainable development. And then I think she had to stop selling these for some reason having to do with copyright or something. I can't remember exactly. I think she did do a re-release of these ones. She actually found that she was able to do a re-release of these ones, but then she also has like a different version of the life design cards that is not these OG ones, but these are the OG, like these are the first, this is the first ones that she came out with, and I can't remember whether or not these are currently available or if she is also sold out of the re-release of these. But in any case, the thing that I really like about this deck is that it gives you like actionable steps. That was the thing that I always really liked about it. And again, all of these actionable steps are based on principles of permaculture. And so it's just, it's a really nice deck if you want to, I don't know, like if you're looking for a kind of deck that like gives you guidance, like actual specific guidance, this is a lovely deck for that. And there are some, just, the artwork is beautiful. I really like the feel of it. I really like how focused in on nature the whole thing is. And then there are actually kind of like suits in this deck in a way, that are sort of shown by the backs of the cards. There's seasonal elements to it. And then there's also, after you get through all of the like sort of principles of permaculture kinds of and seasonal cards, you get into some zodiac based cards. But again, they still have like an instruction on them. So like, you know, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, you know, these are all based on the various zodiac signs, but they still give you something actionable, which I think is a really cool thing in a deck. I have just been finding that like I have not been reaching for this deck now for a couple of years. And I think we just are sort of, I think our time together is over, I guess. It's a lovely deck, but I just haven't been reaching for it. So even though I really, really like it and there's a lot to love about it, it's ready for me to let it go. It's time to move it along to somebody else who can benefit from it in the same way that I did. So this is a very nice deck. Again, this is the Life Design Cards by Lisa McLaughlin. And yeah, it's a gorgeous deck. So next up, I have a still sealed copy of the Smoke, Ash, and Ember Tarot. Now, this is not my copy. This is a still sealed copy. My copy is going nowhere because I love this deck, but I bought a second copy of this deck to give as a gift to someone, and then for various reasons that I won't get into, decided that this was not the gift that I should give them. So I ended up with this extra copy of the deck. It's absolutely lovely. You know, I'm not going to open it for purposes of this video, but you guys can, you know, see it pretty much anywhere on the internet, on TarotTube. Lots of people have shown all the cards from this deck. This is the dragon-based deck by Three Trees Tarot. I will send it even with the tissue paper, the cute rabbit tissue paper it came with. There's a cute little sticker on the tissue paper. It includes all of the extra goodies. There's like some little art prints in here. There's some stickers and a magnet in here. All of the little cute notes and, certificates of authenticity and everything are all included. It is a brand new copy, like what you would get if you ordered it directly from them online. It is just an extra copy that I ended up with for various reasons. So I am also going to be selling this one. So next up, I have a copy of a second edition of the Lonely Dreamer Tarot to sell. There have been 3 editions of the Lonely Dreamer. The second edition is out of print. The thing about the Lonely Dreamer is that it is one of my all-time favorite decks, and I owned all 3 editions. And I finally was like, self, do you need all 3 editions of the Lonely Dreamer Tarot? you probably don't need 3. Maybe cut it down to 2. So I went through them all and I decided that I would keep my first edition and my third edition and sell my second edition. Just because for various reasons, this one is my least favorite. I think there are only 2 cards in this edition that are unique to this edition. I believe the Wheel of Fortune and the 8 of Swords are unique to this edition. Aside from that, it has some of the same cards as the first edition and then some of the same cards as the third edition. But this one is just the one that I decided I could let go of out of the 3. And, you know, this deck is absolutely wonderful. This is also the only edition that comes with the floral backs. The other 2 editions have like, whoops, I got all my extra cards in here. There's the guidebook. The other 2 editions have this like Persian rug design sort of back, which I prefer, but the floral backs are also very beautiful. But like I said, this is absolutely one of my all-time favorite decks. This is based on the artwork of Odilon Vleidon, and I'm very bad at pronouncing French, so please excuse me for how terrible that probably was. But this is such a gorgeous deck. Like I said, this edition of it is out of print. It is beautiful. The artwork of this deck is amazing. I just adore this deck with everything in me, but I decided I only need 2 copies. So this is the one I decided to let go of. Yeah, I mean, it's a stunning deck. The artwork's fantastic, and it's just really beautiful. I'm also going to be including with this. This is a custom silk bag. It's got like a raw silk outside and then like an actual silk interior and then embroidery on it to match the deck. And this was, I believe, a add-on with the Kickstarter when I backed this deck on Kickstarter. So I will include the custom bag along with this deck when I sell it, because it all sort of goes together as a package. But yeah, this is just a lovely, lovely deck. It just happens to be the edition that I feel like I can let go of, because I think it's kind of crazy to have 3 versions of the same deck. So that again is the second edition of the Lonely Dreamer Tarot. I am keeping my other 2. Okay, so speaking of Melissa Weatherspoon's beautiful decks based on the artwork of Odilon Vleidon, there is also an oracle. This is the Oracle Door, and this is an absolutely stunningly beautiful oracle. Again, you can see how gorgeous the box is. Like, it's so pretty. There's all this foiling on it. Even the book that comes with this little gold book, which is so pretty. And then the artwork of this is all based on a series of artworks he did that were all sort of like black and white. I believe they're all charcoal. And they're gorgeous. And then they added this beautiful like foil detailing on all of the cards. And again, this is just one of those oracles where I just, you know, I love the artwork of it so much, but it just sort of doesn't hit right for me as an oracle. So despite loving the artwork, it's freaking gorgeous, I am okay with letting this one go. And this also does come as a really beautiful package, because I also, again, when I backed this on Kickstarter, there was an option to get a matching silk bag. This actually is just the black version of the silk bag that I will be selling with the Lonely Dreamer Oracle. So like, it's a perfect little matching set, you know, if you were so interested. And then there's also this beautiful book that goes with it with a ton of additional information about each card, about the artist. I mean, it's absolutely stunning. It's so in-depth, this book. Like, it's truly amazing as far as a book about these cards. Like, you can see every single card has just multiple pages of all different ways of interpreting the card and all different thoughts on the artwork and the card. And it's gorgeous. Like, this whole package is stunning. But again, it's just not an oracle that I personally reach for. So I am ready to let this one go. But as you can see, like, as a package, it's like amazing. I mean, honestly, one of the most beautiful oracle decks like I've ever seen in my entire life, but it's just not for me. So I am prepared to let this one go. So next up is my copy of the Gaian Tarot. Unfortunately, I no longer have the box for this, so I will be letting the deck go in this bag that I think goes very nicely with it. It's very pretty together. Here's the guidebook. I do, of course, still have the guidebook. And this is another deck that I really kind of gave it the old college try. And I did trim this deck also. And quite frankly, I think I did do a wonderful job of trimming it. This is the Schiffer edition of this deck that normally when you buy it, it has these big blue borders and gilded edges. And I chopped off the border, all the borders, so that it just has a white border around it. And the artwork of this deck is beautiful. I love Joanna Powell Colbert's artwork. If you know anything about me, you know how I feel about the Herb Crafter's Tarot, which is another deck that she illustrated. It's one of my all-time favorites. And I think that I felt like I had to like this deck because I liked the Herb Crafters so much, but I gave this deck a period of time of working with it, and I trimmed it, and I did, you know, the whole thing. And it just doesn't hit for me in the same way, despite the fact that it's beautiful and despite the fact that I know this deck is extremely popular. And I think, like I said, I think I did a pretty darn good job trimming it. Like, it even looks quite nice on the backs, the way I trimmed it. So I think I did a pretty darn good job of hand trimming this deck. But again, this is a wonderful deck, and there's nothing wrong with it, and a lot of people love it so much, and I think there's so much to love about it. I especially love the way that the artwork goes into the white borders a little bit on all of the card. Like, it just, I don't know, it's just a beautiful, beautiful deck. But again, it's just not quite for me. So I am ready to let this one go. And as I'm flipping through, I hope you can see that I didn't lose anything trimming it. You know, the only thing is that to make it neat, some of these bottom titles had to get a little close to the edge, but none of them, no portion of the title or any of the image got trimmed off for any of these cards. Like, they all turned out really nice. It's just a little close to the bottom, but nothing got cut off. So anyway, so that again is a pre-trimmed version of the Schiffer edition of the Gaian Tarot. I don't have the box anymore, but I will be letting it go with this Peggy bag that I think looks really nice with it, and of course the guidebook. So yeah, that is the Gaian Tarot. So I am also going to be letting go of the Zerner Farber Tarot. This is another one that I had kind of had my eye on this deck for a really long time, and it was sort of never available in a format that I felt like would really work for me. Like, it went through this period of time where you could only get this in like a gigantic version. And then they finally came out with a version that was of a usable size, which was very nice. And it comes in this nice box. Like, it's very lovely. It comes with a nice big chonky guidebook. And I love the artwork of this deck. It's got a nice sort of collage-y feel, but there's like a lot of fabric in the collage. It's a nice small size. Like, you can see that it's not too big. It's got some nice pretty matte gold gilded edges. But again, I gave this deck a try, and it just kind of wasn't for me. Like, I had kind of a hard time like emotionally connecting to it, I think. But it's a lovely deck. So if you have had your eye on this one too, this one is in perfect condition and, you know, ready to go out the door. I only used it a little bit, and yeah, it's super nice. So again, that is the Zerner Farber Tarot. So here is kind of a cute and unique one. This is another one where I love the artwork, but it just kind of didn't work for me as an oracle. But this is the Spirit of Cats Oracle. And this is, I believe, a Chinese deck, but Jamie Elford did write the text for the guidebook. And it's super cute, this deck. So, like, the artwork is so adorable. If you love cats, like, this artwork is just stinking cute. So here's the little guidebook. But you can see that, you know, half of it's in Chinese and the other half of it is in English. And like, this deck is so cute. Like, look at this artwork. It's adorable. It's just adorable. But again, it's just not a deck that ended up really working for me as an oracle, even though I want to hang all these pictures on my wall. Like, look at this little person skiing down a cat. I love the tiny people and giant cats in this. It just is adorable. There's not a ton actually of cards in this deck. There's only 24 cards in it, but each of the cards is just absolutely darling. But in any case, I can't remember where I ordered this from, but I ordered it from like, I can't remember what shop it was. But I liked the artwork so much that I grabbed it, and then ended up, you know, finding that it kind of didn't really work out for me as an oracle. But if you are interested in a very, very cute cat oracle that is actually quite nicely done, with a good little guidebook and, you know, really, really sweet artwork, this is a great little deck. So again, that is the Spirit of Cats oracle. Okay, next up is my bridge-sized Pam's Vintage Tarot. So this has been a workhorse for me as far as like a travel deck for quite a few years. It's a great little deck. I've used it quite a bit. I've just not really found myself reaching for this as much as far as a mini Rider-Waite-Smith. I've been finding that I actually, because I use these kinds of decks to read for people, you know, mostly read for other people as opposed to reading for myself, I've started kind of preferring to use decks that actually have the card titles on them so that people can make a little more sense of it and understand a little better, you know, what they're seeing in the card. And if they take a picture of the spread, then the titles are all in there. So I just haven't been reaching for this one as much, but it's a great little deck. It's just a really nice, very aged looking Rider-Waite-Smith with all of the titles pretty much chopped off of all of the cards that would have titles at the bottom. So it's a great little deck. And it's just a nice bridge size. It's very nice to shuffle this deck. The cardstock is very good quality. It's easy to shuffle even though it's small. And yeah, this is, I believe, from Game Crafters, I think is where you can still get this copy of the Pam's Vintage still in this size as well. The other thing too is that I did make a little tin for this deck where I put, you know, the title card on the back of the tin and one of the art cards that comes with it on the front of the tin. And the deck fits very nicely in this little tin. So that's a great way to carry it around, you know, if you want like this deck in a tin to carry around. This little custom tin that I made is quite nice for it. But I will put it in the box, the actual box when I send it. But yeah, that is the bridge size Pam's Vintage Tarot. It's a great little deck. Again, has been a great little workhorse, carry around, knock around, keep in my purse kind of deck for quite a while. And I've just been finding myself reaching for other decks as far as a Rider-Waite-Smith. But yeah, it's a great little deck. So that is the bridge size Pam's Vintage Tarot. So still on the topic of the title Vintage, this is a copy of the Tarot Vintage. This is a deck that I have never used. I will admit the only reason I bought this deck is that I thought that this deck would look cool in the pictures that I take for my shop. That's the only reason I bought this. I don't know if I've ever even shuffled this deck. Like I honestly don't think I have. And this is a really cool deck. I just ultimately decided that I would rather have something slightly more colorful, like for most of my shop pictures, rather than something like this that's very, very neutral. I like to match one of my own decks more to the bag or to the cloth that I'm showing in the picture, just so that people can kind of like get a sense of how they could pair up that product with a deck. So I thought that this was like a great idea because it was like neutral and would go with everything. But as a matter of fact, I ended up never using it because it's neutral and goes with everything. So I'm gonna sell this one because I don't need it for my shop pictures, but I have never used it. So anyway, it's a great deck. Like I really like the sort of parchment effect, you know, the way that the colors are very muted. I like that it has the classic rose and lily backing on it again, but just more of like an aged sort of muted version. It's super cool looking, this deck, just super cool looking. But again, I literally bought it for shop pictures. That's it. So I am letting it go. So next up is a copy of the Solara Occulto Migliora. So the Solara Occulto deck is a deck where I own a copy of the second edition of the deck. And the second edition is on like not the most super high quality cardstock. It has pretty big borders and the backs of it aren't super inspiring. So the creator of this deck, whose name I believe is Amanda Spicer, she came out with a Kickstarter for a new edition of the deck. And this new edition was going to be so beautiful. Like it has this really lovely box. It has a nice little guidebook that fits right in the box, although the text is freaking minuscule, so just a warning about that. It has this beautiful gold foiling. It has these black edges. Like, everything about this deck is absolutely beautiful, and I was super, super excited about it. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get this brand new copy of my beloved Solara Occulto, but it's so pretty. It's on this lovely matte cardstock. It's borderless. It has the black edges. I was just so excited. It was like, everything about this is going to be amazing. And then I got the new edition, and I realized that I love my old edition more. Even though it's on not as good cardstock, it has big borders, the backs are not as pretty, like nothing about it is quite as nice. But I still love it more. So I decided that I would sell the Meliora version. I think part of it is that it is just like a really big deck. Like, it's large, it's very thick, you know, it's on very high quality cardstock, but it's kind of difficult for me to shuffle and get my hands around. And I just missed my old one. So I'm going to be selling this new one, even though it is extremely lovely. I just want to hang on to my good old second edition. One of the other kind of cool things about this new edition is that it included almost an entire Oracle deck in there. So there's all of these like Oracle deck cards that were also included. So that is also part of it as well. And these just are in the box with the tarot cards. So there is just sort of like a mini Oracle deck also included. So again, the Solara Occulto Meliora, a deck I absolutely love that just the new edition ended up, like, I don't know, being too fancy for me or something, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, so I'm going to be letting this one go, but I would never in a million years let go of my good old second edition that I love so much. So anyway. So next up is this mass market copy of the Light Seers, the regular size Light Seers. This deck is a workhorse for me. This deck is a deck that I almost never use to read for myself, but I use this a lot to read for clients. And so, you know, this is a great deck. The only reason I am letting go of this full-size copy is that the version came out, the mini version in a tin came out, and since that one came out, I have literally only been reaching for that one because, again, I read for other people for this deck almost exclusively, and so having a smaller version where I can either put it in my bag and take it places, or I can fit more cards on screen if I'm doing a video reading, has just been much more useful to me than this full-size one. So I figured I could just let go of my full-size one because, honestly, the mini one is going to be the one that I almost always use from here on out. So so again, this is a loved, definitely used, but still in great shape copy of the Light Seers Tarot, the mass market edition by Chris Ann. Most of us know and love the Light Seers, and, you know, it's a great deck. So next up, I have some decks by Kimberly San. This is the spread machine with the two expansion packs. I believe this deck is called something different now. This was when it first came out. This deck was called Spread Machine, and I think it just has a different title now, but the cards are basically the same. So it's just the regular one with the Quest and Change expansions. So these decks are very cool. I'll just sort of show you how they work. So basically, exactly as the name implies, the whole idea of these decks is that you can use them to generate spreads. And so there's multiple different suits, and you can see that they're all sort of distinguished by the overall coloration of them. So there's different categories of cards in this deck. And, you know, if you read the guidebook, it'll give you some more information about, you know, what each of these different categories is. But it's just a really, really cool deck. Like, the idea of it is really cool. And, you know, Kim is so smart and creative in the way that she puts decks together, and this is just honestly a really cool set of decks that I have just sort of never quite figured out how to use in my practice. I am just the kind of person who has a very sort of basic set of spreads that I use, and I don't tend to craft more specific spreads unless like a client asks me to do that for them. But most of the time when I'm reading for myself or reading for a client, like, I have a set of spreads that I am very comfortable with and that I've used for a long, long time, and that just are good to go, ready for me to use and make sense to me. And so, I just have never really found a good way to incorporate this into my practice. But it's so cool. Like, it's so cool. The cards are beautiful. Like, I mean, look at the purple edges on this. They're gorgeous. Like, they're absolutely gorgeous. It's such a cool deck. And yeah, and if you're the kind of person who likes to get lots of new and different ideas for spreads that you could put together, this is such an amazing deck. Like, when you read what's on the cards and the different spread positions that she has come up with, they're just so smart and they make so much sense. And it's really, really cool. But again, it's just not quite the thing that I need in my practice. And so there's the original spread machine, and then there is the Quest expansion, and this one is full of all cards based on like video game quests, basically. So if you are a gamer, this is probably an expansion that would really resonate. And so again, there's various different, categories of cards, full of all of these different concepts that are kind of taken from Hero's Journey, or especially as contained in video games. And look how beautiful these are. Like, they're amazing. They've got great questions on them. Again, an incredible tool for putting spreads together, but not really like my thing. So yeah, I mean, these are amazing decks. And the Quest expansion has these beautiful copper edges, matte copper edges on the cards. Like, just the way this is all put together is so nice. And then there's also the Change expansion, which is similar. It's just all cards focused on change. This one has matte silver edges. Again, it comes with a little guidebook and a quick start guide, but it gives you, again, a lot of cool ideas for spread positions, and ways that, questions you can ask yourself as you're reading the cards. So it's just a cool spread generating tool. I would prefer to let them all go as a set if possible. There's no repeats in any of the decks. Like, these are all different cards, so there's no repeats. It's just the spread machine and 2 expansions. So I will consider letting them go separately if somebody really, really is interested in that, but I would rather have somebody just purchase these as a set. So another deck that is currently on my chopping block is this one, which is Tarot Landscapes. This is a mass market deck that just came out fairly recently. I feel like it's at least within the last year. And if you know anything about me at all, you know why this deck appealed to me initially. As you can see, it's very landscape based, and the artwork is gorgeous. I love decks with a strong sense of place. I love decks that sort of make you feel like you can go into the location that's depicted on the card. And I really think that the artwork of this deck is beautiful. The only thing with this deck is that I don't feel like I get anything out of this deck that's really different from what I get out of the Spacious Tarot. I think the Spacious Tarot is really the deck in my collection that really fills this niche for me. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I actually like the art style of this deck better than the Spacious Tarot. This art style appeals to me a little bit more. I love the bright colors, and I really think it's gorgeous. But the takes on the cards, the way that the cards depict the meanings, I prefer in the Spacious Tarot. So I find the Spacious Tarot more readable than this one. And so that's why I decided to let this one go. But it's a gorgeous deck, absolutely stunning. And again, as someone who loves this style of deck where it really gives you a location that you feel very immersed in. This has just wonderful artwork, and I love the style of it. But again, yeah, I decided that ultimately I didn't need both this and the Spacious Tarot, so I decided to let this one go. And then finally, as always, I have a few free gifts that I am going to be giving away. Now, the way that the free gifts work whenever I do a deck declutter is if you buy another deck from me and are the first person to say that you want one of these free gift decks, I will include that free gift deck for free in your package. So the first person who buys a different deck or decks from me and says they want the Buffy Tarot, I will put in the Buffy Tarot. Same thing with this one, the Borderless Smith Waite. Again, just like one per person, so like don't try to claim both of them. But again, if you are the first person to email me, tell me you want to buy another deck from me, and you also want one of these free decks, I will include it in the package. So that's how I always do it. So the first one that I would be giving away as a free gift is this copy of the Buffy Tarot. And you can go look at our 3 Girls 1 deck about the Buffy Tarot to sort of understand why this deck, despite having a lot of things going for it, didn't really end up working out for me. The reason I'm giving this away as a free gift is because this first edition of the Buffy Tarot, or this first printing of it, had a ton of issues with the guidebook. And like you can still see, like all my little kitty flags flagging every single guidebook entry that had an issue with it. They're all just kind of like squished in the box here. So I still have the kitty flags in there. I'll take them out if you want me to, but I still have all the kitty flags in there indicating all my issues with the guidebook. But this is a really cool deck. And like I said, it's one of those decks where a lot of the cards really worked for me. I'm a huge Buffy fan, and a lot of these cards really worked for me, and then some of them just didn't work as much. And it just ultimately, despite the fact that it had very cool artwork and a lot going for it, and even, you know, issues with the guidebook notwithstanding, this is a great deck, but it just kind of didn't hit for me as much as I wanted it to in terms of a Buffy deck. But it is a great deck, and I know a lot of folks who love Buffy really love this deck. Heather in particular of the 3 girls really enjoys this deck. So so I am letting it go as a free gift again, because I'm pretty sure they're coming out with a second printing that doesn't have a totally messed up guidebook. But yeah, so that is going to be one of the free gifts. So the other deck that I am going to be giving away as a free gift is this borderless edition of the Centennial Smith-Waite deck. I have had this for years, so I'm giving it away as a free gift because it has been around and I have used it quite a lot. But I've only ever used this deck as a study deck. So the box is in really good condition because this box has just been sitting in storage, and I've actually had the deck. I've been keeping the deck in a different box because it's just been sitting on my shelf as a study deck. But I am going to be letting this one go because basically what happened is similar with the Tarot Vintage. I bought a bordered edition of the Centennial specifically to use for pictures for my shop. And again, like I said, I wound up not really using that deck as much for pictures for the shop because I decided I liked pairing up my shop items with more matchy kind of decks, just, you know, to show decks that looked really good with those items, and kind of show what I was thinking when I picked the fabric, like what decks I thought it would go well with. And so I ended up with this random, you know, bordered copy of the Centennial, and I just realized, you know, I kind of like having a bordered copy better, especially for a Smith-Waite and especially for a study deck. The bordered is just more similar to the original, I guess. And so I decided that I could let go of the borderless and keep the bordered as, you know, more of my kind of like just study version, like sort of classic version of the Rider-Waite-Smith that I keep on hand for study purposes rather than the borderless. So I know it's kind of silly because there's not really that much difference between the bordered and the borderless, but I don't know, something about the bordered just felt more, it felt more like what the Rider-Waite-Smith is supposed to be, I guess, than this one does now to me these days. So I decided that I could let go of my borderless, but again, because I've had this for ages and I've used it a lot, and it definitely, you know, has been in my hands a lot, I'm just giving it away as a free gift. And also, it came, I think, with 4 art cards originally, and I think one of them is missing because it's a book. It's like operating currently as a bookmark in a book somewhere. I have no idea which book. And I'm not going to go looking for it because I doubt anybody really cares about the art cards, and I'm giving this away for free anyway. So, so there's a missing art card, but all of the regular cards obviously are present and accounted for. And yeah, so this is going to be another free gift item that I will be giving away to the first person who orders another deck from me and then tells me they also want this included. And that's it. Those are the decks I am currently decluttering. They've been in my purgatory box for a while and they are ready to go to their new homes. So again, all of the decks will be listed out and the prices for these decks listed out in the description box down below the video that you probably have to click to expand it. But that's where all the decks listed with their prices will be. And again, these two are free gifts that will be going to the first person who buys another deck from me and then tells them that they also want one of these included. And again, that's the Buffy the Vampire Slayer Tarot and the borderless Smith-Waite Centennial. So I keep the list of decks available for sale very, very updated. If I hear from somebody and like I'm just waiting on payment for them, I will mark it pending. And if it says sold, it will be sold. But if it does not say sold or pending, that means it is still available. Unless you literally email within like 2 minutes of another person, it is still available. So, you know, just feel free to reach out if you're interested in any of these decks. Where you can reach me is email sunsetbow@gmail.com. So again, that's sunsetbow, all one word, @gmail.com. Just shoot me an email. Let me know which decks you're interested in. I always do payment via a PayPal invoice, so you are fully protected. It is a goods and services payment, not friends and family. So everybody is protected in the transaction, and you can buy from me with confidence. So, so again, looking forward to sending some of these decks off to new homes. In fact, kind of just in time for the holidays, which is sort of cool. Hope you have enjoyed taking a look at what I have up for sale, what decks are going to be leaving my collection, and have a great one, everybody. Goodbye.